low, kind of creeping anxiety about the future.
It's a very real feeling for a lot of people right now.
Yeah, it is, because let's just face facts. It is 2026, and the ground underneath us has fundamentally shifted. I mean, AI isn't just a fun novelty anymore. It is integrated into the structural fabric of our daily lives at this breakneck pace. Traditional career paths are just vanishing. The global economy feels like shifting sand, and if you look around, people are desperately trying to figure out how to just, maintain their footing, let alone actually build wealth.
It is a profound collective anxiety. And it permeates almost every industry right now. Because when the baseline of how we work changes this rapidly, freezing up is, it's just the default human response.
Yeah, fight, flight, or freeze.
Exactly. You look at traditional corporate structures, and you see entire analytical departments being automated by algorithms that do the work of, 50 people in 3 seconds. And it feels deeply destabilizing.
Complete.
But if we pull back and look at the historical data, that feeling of instability is actually a signal. Think about the birth of the commercial internet in the late 90s, or the massive mobile and app boom of the 2010s.
The gold rushes.
Right. During every single one of those paradigm shifts, the people who viewed the disruption as a threat, they were left behind. The ones who captured generational wealth were the ones who recognized the shift, adapted their skill sets, and moved incredibly fast.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if 2026 is effectively a new gold rush, I want to know exactly where the gold is hiding and, what kind of shovel I need to dig it up.
That's the right mindset.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We are taking the stack of source material we've gathered and extracting the exact practical blueprint for building independent income streams right now. No grand macroeconomic theories, just the actual mechanics of what is working today.
The ground floor tactics.
Yeah, and the sources start with a pretty massive paradigm shift. The absolute death of the traditional corporate ladder. I'll admit, growing up, that ladder was the definition of playing it safe.
Oh, absolutely. But the source material is unequivocal about that reversal. The mid-century model where you secure a stable role, climb the ranks of a single corporation for 3 decades, and retire comfortably, it's mathematically obsolete.
It's done.
Relying on a single employer is now framed in the text as the highest risk financial strategy you can deploy.
Which is wild to think about. It's the total opposite of what we were taught.
It is. But the reasoning comes down to the friction of labor. Companies are aggressively deploying AI to automate anything repetitive or strictly data-driven. The only true security left in the 2026 economy is the independent ability to generate value outside of a traditional payroll structure.
Which leads us perfectly to the 3 main pillars of generating that value, according to our text. So, pillar number 1 is mastering the skills that AI cannot replace. I found this section particularly ironic, to be honest.
How so?
Well, for the last 20 years, the corporate world was obsessed with hard skills. Coding, high-level mathematics, strict data analysis, get your STEM degree right. Now, the text argues that soft skills have become the most valuable hard skills on the market.
It is a fascinating reversal of premium value because artificial intelligence is incredibly powerful at pattern recognition and data synthesis, but it fundamentally lacks a human limbic system.
Right, doesn't feel anything.
Exactly. It cannot build a deep empathetic relationship. It cannot navigate the complex, often entirely irrational psychology of human motivation to, say, lead a team through a crisis.
The text specifically highlights skills like high-stakes selling, executive coaching, complex consulting, creative direction, and community building. I suppose an AI can draft a flawless sales pitch, but it can't sit across the table and
read the room.
Yeah, read the micro expressions of a client, understand their unspoken career anxieties, and build that crucial bridge of trust.
If you can communicate with nuance, if you can mediate conflict and foster genuine human connection, your skills are trading at an absolute premium right now. The market is saturated with optimized data. So the scarcity, the real value, lies in human interpretation and emotional intelligence.
That brings us to pillar number 2, building digital assets. Now, the traditional model has always been trading hours for dollars. You work 40 hours, you get paid for 40 hours.
A one-to-one exchange.
Right. But a digital asset completely breaks that linear equation. We're talking about something you create once, but can sell infinitely.
The leverage involved in digital assets is what makes them so potent. And the text outlines several really practical examples. You have Notion templates, which are essentially pre-built, highly optimized organizational dashboards that people plug into their own software to manage their lives or businesses.
People love those.
They do. You also have Lightroom presets, which are essentially algorithmic color grades that photographers buy to instantly professionalize their images. Then there are comprehensive online courses, niche ebooks, and specialized micro apps.
What stands out to me here is the complete decoupling from physical supply chains.
Yes.
You aren't storing boxes in a garage, you don't have manufacturing overhead or shipping delays. Once the initial effort of creation is done, the asset just works for you perpetually. You could literally be asleep while someone on the other side of the world purchases and downloads your Notion template.
Pure profit margin after the initial time investment. But there is a pervasive myth about this, which the source material tackles directly.
The audience size thing.
Right. People assume that to generate meaningful revenue from digital assets, you need an audience of millions. You need to be a massive influencer. The reality of 2026 is strictly quality over quantity. The text leans heavily into the 1,000 true fans economic model.
Okay, I want to poke at that a bit because 1,000 people feels like a tiny drop in the bucket of the internet. Like, how does that translate to actual wealth?
It translates through high conviction purchasing. Having 1,000 highly engaged followers who deeply trust your expertise within a very specific niche is infinitely more profitable than having 1 million passive scrollers who just occasionally like a photo.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you solve a painful, specific problem for those 1,000 people, say, a complex financial modeling template for freelance graphic designers, they will gladly pay a premium for it. The intimacy of the audience is what drives the conversion, not the raw volume.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Pillar 3 is using AI as a superpower. The text is very clear that trying to compete directly against AI is a losing battle.
You will lose every time.
Exactly. The strategy is to leverage it as an exponential multiplier of your own output.
The professionals who are thriving right now treat AI like an incredibly capable, tireless executive assistant. They're using it to compress 40 hours of traditional manual labor into a single hour of high-level direction.
So what does that look like in practice?
That might mean using a large language model to generate 50 iterations of ad copy in 10 seconds, or using image generators for rapid visual prototyping, or employing data analysis algorithms to uncover market trends that would take a human analyst weeks to compile.
The text highlights a role that didn't even exist in the mainstream just a few years ago, the AI prompt engineer. And to be clear, this isn't just typing basic questions into a chat box, is it?
Not at all. A prompt engineer is essentially structuring logic frameworks. An AI tool's output is entirely dependent on the parameters, the context, and the constraints it's given. Businesses are desperate for individuals who know how to strategically interface with models like ChatGPT or Midjourney to extract highly precise, usable business assets.
They're the translators.
Exactly. They act as the crucial translation layer between a company's strategic goals and the machine's processing power.
And what's incredible to me is the barrier to entry here. You don't need a legacy Ivy League degree to learn prompt engineering. The educational resources are entirely decentralized and largely free online. It just requires deep curiosity and a willingness to experiment.
Absolutely.
So with these 3 pillars in mind, I want to get aggressively tactical. Let's move from the theory into the actual execution. If someone listening to us right now wants to generate income this week, where does the source say they should start?
The most immediate friction-free path highlighted is freelancing. And the text emphasizes that you likely already possess monetizable skills even if you don't realize it. It's about translating your natural traits into market demands.
Let's break that translation down, because a lot of people might say, hey, my main skill is just that I'm hyper-organized and I like planning. How does that become a freelance business?
Well, if you possess hyper-organization and a talent for creating systems, you are the ideal candidate for virtual project management or operations consulting. Think about it. Many visionary entrepreneurs are terrible at day-to-day organization.
Oh, yeah. They have the big ideas, but zero follow-through.
Exactly. If you can integrate their chaotic ideas into a streamlined workflow, they will pay you handsomely. If your strength is writing clear, persuasive emails, you transition that into direct response copywriting. If you naturally mediate arguments and enjoy engaging with people online, you step into community management for a brand's social platforms or Discord servers.
The text mentions platforms like Upwork and Fiverr for this, but it actually seems to caution against relying solely on them. It pushes much harder for direct outreach.
Those platforms are functional starting points to learn the mechanics of client interaction, sure, but they are often a race to the bottom on pricing.
Right, competing with 1,000 other people.
The far more lucrative strategy is identifying a business, spotting a specific inefficiency in their online presence, and sending them a direct, personalized pitch offering to solve that exact problem.
Okay, moving from the immediate to the long game, the text dedicates a massive section to content creation. Now, I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't the creator economy completely saturated? It feels like everyone with a smartphone is trying to be a creator in 2026.
The volume of creators is high, yes. But the text argues the volume of quality and consistency is astonishingly low.
Interesting.
The source points out a phenomenon where the vast majority of aspiring creators abandon their efforts after posting just 3 or 4 pieces of content. Why? Because they don't experience instant viral validation.
So the saturation is an illusion at the top end. The true differentiator isn't necessarily having the flashiest production value. It's a stamina to keep providing real value when the algorithm isn't immediately rewarding you. You basically just outlast the 90% of people who quit.
Precisely. And for those who have no desire to be on camera, the text provides a robust blueprint for faceless content.
Which is huge right now.
Massive. You can build huge audiences through high-quality voiceover essays, educational animations, or highly curated compilation videos. Alternatively, you can step entirely behind the curtain into the back-end roles that power this whole economy.
Like becoming an SEO specialist. And for anyone uninitiated, that just means understanding how to optimize a video or article so it ranks higher in search algorithms. Or becoming a specialized data analyst who helps a YouTube creator understand their audience retention metrics. Those back-end roles are the invisible infrastructure of the entire creator economy.
They are arguably more stable and lucrative than being the creator yourself, as you become an indispensable partner in their revenue generation.
Okay, I want to shift gears to the unconventional wealth hacks for 2026 that are mentioned in the source material. These are the models that require a bit more lateral thinking. Content curation, flipping digital assets, becoming a virtual landlord, and print on demand. How does content curation actually function as a business?
We operate in an era of absolute information overload. The friction is no longer accessing information, it's filtering it. Content curation is basically the business of saving people time.
Cutting through the noise?
Right. If you can sift through the noise of a specific industry, say, artificial intelligence developments in healthcare synthesize the most critical updates and package them into a digestible weekly newsletter, professionals will pay for that curation. You are monetizing your taste and your editorial filter.
That makes a lot of sense. The value is in the elimination of noise. Now, what about flipping digital assets? When I hear flipping, I think of buying a rundown house and putting in new floors and a kitchen.
The mechanics are actually identical, but the asset class is digital.
Walk me through that.
Imagine finding a neglected niche blog about, say, specialized indoor gardening. The content is solid, but the owner hasn't updated it in 2 years, and they only monetize it with low-tier display ads. To purchase that site, you use AI tools to rapidly update the SEO on the top 50 posts, you integrate high-yield affiliate links for premium grow lights, and suddenly the monthly revenue quadruples.
Wow.
6 months later, you sell that optimized asset for a significant multiple of your purchase price.
That is incredible leverage. I do want to push back on the virtual landlord concept, though. Whenever I hear phrases like digital real estate, my mind instantly goes to the overhyped metaverse buzzwords from a few years ago. Is there actual sustainable utility there in 2026?
The concept has matured significantly past the speculative hype. In 2026, being a virtual landlord is less about cartoon avatars and more about controlling digital choke points.
What does a digital choke point look like?
It involved acquiring and holding premium, highly searchable domain names, or securing strategic usernames across emerging platforms, or even owning the specific virtual environments where remote, multinational corporations conduct their onboarding and collaborative work. It is about owning the infrastructure where digital attention flows.
Okay, that makes it sound much more grounded. And lastly, the text brings up print on demand. I look at this, and my first thought is that the profit margins must be razor thin if a third-party platform is handling all the printing, packing, and shipping. How does the source justify this as a wealth hack?
The text justifies it through the lens of rapid, zero-risk prototyping.
Zero risk.
Essentially, yes. You can design a graphic using AI tools, upload it to a platform like Printful, and apply it to a mug or a shirt. If nobody buys it, you have lost zero capital. You aren't stuck with a garage full of unsold inventory. You can test 50 different designs a week until one catches the cultural zeitgeist, and then scale it infinitely. The margin per item might be lower, but the return on invested capital is enormous because the upfront capital is basically nothing.
So we have this massive menu of options: freelancing, digital products, faceless channels, curation, flipping. But having too many options is often paralyzing. The text outlines a very specific 90-day execution blueprint to actually get this off the ground.
The first step of that blueprint is the most critical. Choose one path.
Just one?
Yes. The fastest way to fail is to attempt launching a freelance copywriting business, a print-on-demand store, and a YouTube channel simultaneously. The source demands extreme singular focus.
Step 2 is setting up the foundation. The advice here is essentially to stop overthinking. Create the Upwork profile, register the domain name, set up the social media handle. Just get the structural infrastructure out of your head and into reality.
Step 3 involves learning the essential skills. Again, the text reiterates that taking on debt for this is unnecessary. Utilize the exhaustive free resources available online. Watch comprehensive tutorials, read industry blogs, and get competent enough to deliver baseline value.
Step 4 is taking action. Hitting publish, sending that first pitch email to a local business, transitioning from a passive consumer of information to an active producer of output.
And the final step is committing to that singular path for 90 days. The text specifies 90 days because that is the minimum data gathering cycle. It takes that long of consistent daily action to build any algorithmic momentum, to refine your pitch based on rejections and actually see empirical evidence of what works.
Of course, whenever a new, challenging endeavor is presented, the human brain immediately generates excuses. The source material takes a sledgehammer to the two most common ones. First, the no time myth. I am definitely guilty of claiming I have no time, only to realize I've lost an hour falling down an obscure historical Wikipedia rabbit hole.
The text challenges the reader to brutally audit their daily schedule. If you honestly track your time and eliminate passive scrolling, television, or inefficient task switching, almost anyone can reclaim 1 to 2 hours a day. And the source argues that 1 to 2 hours of deep, unbroken, focused work is more than enough to lay the foundation for these income streams.
It's an issue of prioritization, not capacity. The second major excuse the text dismantles is the no money myth, the belief that it takes money to make money. But the internet has fundamentally democratized the means of production. You can launch almost every venture we've discussed today for free, utilizing the computing power in your pocket and your own cognitive energy.
This raises an important question. If time and capital are no longer the prohibitive barriers they once were, what is actually stopping people from executing this blueprint? The source material delves into the psychology of this, arguing that the ultimate unseen roadblock is simply fear.
It's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment from your peers, the fear of launching a product and hearing absolute crickets.
The text offers a highly pragmatic definition of courage in response to that fear. Courage is not the magical absence of anxiety. Courage is acknowledging the fear, feeling the discomfort, and executing the action anyway. It frames courage as a muscle. The more you act in defiance of your apprehension, the stronger that neurological pathway becomes.
I found the concept of building proof incredibly compelling. The text argues that you cannot just use positive affirmations to convince yourself you can make money independently. Your brain requires empirical evidence to rewrite its internal narrative.
Making that first $10 from selling a digital template or securing a $50 contract for a minor freelance task is psychologically monumental. It won't pay your mortgage, but it shatters the previous belief system. It provides the undeniable proof that the digital economy is accessible to you.
The source also completely redefines failure. Failure isn't launching a product that gets zero traction. If you get zero sales, you just gathered valuable data on what the market doesn't want. You iterate and adjust. The only definition of failure the text accepts is quitting on day 14 of your 90-day commitment.
Now, assuming the listener follows this blueprint and begins generating independent revenue, the text shifts to the defensive strategy, building a fortress around that wealth. It outlines the specific sequencing of income streams.
Because we established earlier that you shouldn't launch 10 things at once. But how do you eventually build multiple streams without burning out your capacity?
The strategy requires strict sequential stabilization. You pour all your focus and resources into your first chosen path until it is consistently generating a baseline target, say $1,000 a month. You then build systems or leverage AI to automate as much of that process as possible. Only when that first stream is stable and requires minimal daily oversight do you direct your attention to building the second stream.
It is about methodical diversification. You don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you also don't drop all the eggs by trying to juggle too many baskets at the exact same time.
Exactly. And as that capital accumulates, the source details an investment waterfall. A precise order of operations for allocating those funds.
The very first place the text directs you to invest surprised me. It isn't the stock market or real estate. It's yourself.
That is the highest yield investment available. Allocating capital to acquire higher level skills, purchase specialized knowledge, or optimize your physical and mental health will always generate the largest compound return. Once that is satisfied, the waterfall flows into broader diversification.
The text suggests moving funds into index funds next. For anyone unfamiliar, those are just broad baskets of stocks that track the entire market rather than betting on the success of a single company. It provides the baseline of long-term stability.
Following the index funds, as the capital pool grows, the text suggests exploring real estate or reinvesting heavily back into the infrastructure of your own business to scale operations. The source also includes an allocation for crypto.
Right, which it frames very carefully.
It frames this impartially, strictly as a high-risk, high-reward component of a portfolio. It acknowledges the underlying technology and its potential upside, but cautions that it should only represent a small, affordable-to-lose percentage of a much broader, balanced financial strategy.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the entirety of this 2026 blueprint, the ultimate takeaway from our sources is profoundly empowering. Generating independent wealth right now is not a function of geographic luck, legacy gatekeepers, or having a prestigious degree.
It is entirely a function of personal agency. It is about betting on your own adaptability, learning to leverage these incredible technological tools to amplify your output, and committing to the mundane, compounding daily actions that eventually yield massive results.
It is the shift from renting your time to an employer who views your role as an automation target to building assets and skills that serve you perpetually.
So I want to present a direct challenge to you, the person listening to this deep dive right now. Based on everything we've unpacked, what is the one specific, tangible action you're going to take this week? Not next month, not when the holidays are over, this week. The only barrier standing between your current reality and financial independence is the willingness to take that first deeply uncomfortable step.
Are you going to register that domain name? Are you going to spend 45 minutes auditing your skills to see what you can freelance? Pick your one thing and execute it.
As you embark on that process, I want to leave you with a thought that extrapolates on everything we've analyzed today. If artificial intelligence eventually masters the flawless technical creation of every digital asset, if it automates all the complex back-end infrastructure, writes perfectly persuasive copy, and generates aesthetically flawless design, will the ultimate, most expensive luxury commodity of the future simply be unmediated, unpolished human flaw? As every digital experience gets perfectly optimized by machines, your messy, authentic, uniquely human perspective might just become your most irreplaceable asset of all.
I think that is a profound lens to view the future through. In an economy of artificial perfection, human imperfection becomes the premium. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. You have the blueprint, you understand the mechanics, and the timing has quite literally never been better. Go bet on yourself, go build your future, and we will catch you on the next one.